was at the dentist, and I had like a lot more shit done than I thought I was going to have done. It was like I thought I'd be in and out in half an hour, but like apparently it was like I'm getting a crown, and I had a filling done. And they have this thing, man, called a scanner. Some kind of scanner. Blind Mike is here, by the way. He knows he's here.
We're on.
Yeah, we're on. Yes.
I thought it was just the stuff that only I was privy to.
You thought I was just sitting here bitching? It sounds like it. The scanner, like they start running this thing around my teeth, and I hear Axl's theme. You know, the song from Beverly Hills Cop. And that's the music starts to fade if the scanner's in the wrong place. So I didn't know this. Are you aware of this? This amazing, I don't know, dentist machine?
I don't know that I am. I guess I don't know. I haven't had a lot of dental. I've been very lucky. No cavities or anything like that, so I haven't had a ton of dental work done.
Well, you got a very, very nice, smile for a set of teeth there. I always wondered about that. I was like, you and Chad both have these. Chad Zumach has a very nice set of teeth. Very nice smile.
Right.
Yeah, and those you can't steal. You pretty much have to get those the old-fashioned way.
I'm glad I'm in it. Company. Yeah.
Be born with them. Anyhow, we were just talking about Barstool. And I never look, man. I took a few years off as far as paying attention to shit, and so Barstool was already huge by the time I knew anything about it. But I was curious about the growth of it. Like you came in, like it was not as big, and then now it's like obviously.
I mean, it was big. It was big, like regionally when I was an intern there. And I was there when they sold to Peter Chernin and they moved to New York and all that. So like I got to see that really launch. I guess. I mean, I was a nobody there, but like I was technically there when it kind of like exploded into a big thing, which was very. It's crazy to see what it's become. And like I said, you were saying like, oh, do you miss Barstool? And I'm like, I was never at Barstool Sports. If you look at this Barstool Sports, I never worked there. Oh, okay. I was in an office with like 5 guys. I was a nobody there. I was a guy that was invisible in an office with 5 people. So for me to like put that badge of honor like I was there would be overstating it a little bit. But
yeah, but I mean, you could still enjoy something like that, I guess. Right?
Yeah, and it's cool to see like how that grew. I do have, there's things that have annoyed me about Dave Portnoy, but I have a tremendous amount of respect for what he did. Like, it's pretty crazy. And once you see him as a businessman, I think people sometimes look at him like that rant he went on last year where he's like, how many Jews have to die or whatever
Before we stop joking.
I kind of realized something about him a long time ago. Like, he's a businessman. He's not a comedian. I always thought he was a comedian, and that's why certain things were vexing, where he would like, he had opinions on things that I was like, I don't understand this. I don't understand why he won't let me write some blog about some dumb thing he doesn't give a shit about. And I realized, oh, he's looking at the bottom line. He's running this like a business, which he should. Yeah. And that's when things started. He's actually the funniest, like, executive. If you're comparing him to Suits, you know what I mean? Like people that run networks and streaming services, he's the best at that. Right. Like if you compare him to comedians, there are things where it's like, why is he looking at it that way? But it's because he's a businessman.
Okay. The bottom line is often in conflict with the comedy, and not always though. And I like to think, I imagine that if you do have some kind of a cutting edge or a revolutionary some way of doing comedy, that doesn't make sense immediately, bottom line wise, eventually it can pay off. I mean, like Andy Kaufman, I guess, was pretty strange. Just doing even doing the shit he was doing that was not that weird. Just like a foreigner voice and stuff like that, and talking to a plant in the audience. That's still way outside the box for the late '70s, early '80s, and stuff. So maybe they can eventually meet, but like business people do have, I guess, sort of a more yeah, they're a little more focused on. Let's get there.
He's taken way more risks than John Skipper, who ran ESPN. Like Portnoy's taken way more risks than a guy like that if you're comparing him to executives, and way less risks than, I don't know, for Sam Kinison, I guess. Like he's this weird mix of creative and executive.
What would Kinnison have eventually done, you think?
Well, my thing with all those guys is like it kind of would have like guys that die early like that.
Yeah.
Not to say it's good, but like it wouldn't have gotten better. Like the odds of being like, no, Sam Kinnison's second 30 years. that's where he really got legendary. Like a lot of those guys become, political talking heads and like that. Like Kurt Cobain's the perfect example, and I'm not the first one to come up with this theory. But like Kurt Cobain eventually would have been the guy that's on MSNBC all the time, and you're just like, shut the fuck up, So there's something to be said for guys like that die. The reason they are thought of in such high regard. I mean, like even Patrice, who I love and I think is a genius, I think he would have added a lot. That is a guy like I think we missed out on his voice. Yeah. But like, I guess you never know. Maybe he would have gotten stale, or people would be like, we've heard this rant for 10 years,
Maybe, but I mean, I guess it really, there's no way of knowing because it all depends on the guy and like how, like the direction he wants to take. But I'd like to think that, he would have had a lot to bring later on. He was willing to get fired from the office or whatever,
So for two, he's such a rare voice and didn't give a fuck about the industry or anything. So yeah, I do think he's like a rare exception. But I probably would have said that about Burr too, who got kind of stale and old,
Larry Bird.
Yes. Yeah. Bill Burr.
Bill Burr's kind of turned into something like, he's become one of these guys who like, look, I'm fair, but then like his jabs on one side have a lot more venom than the other, and I make fun of everybody. I'm a equal opportunity offender and that kind of shit. Like I always mistrust that a little bit.
Well, I'm I'm like that too, kind of. Not to the extent that Bill. I don't have the I don't know. The harshness, the anger, the intensity that Bill Burr does. But I try to kind of think of things on both sides. People say I'm a fence sitter, but like it's just what I believe in a lot of cases. I don't think either side is right on everything. My problem with Burr is like the one time he stepped into a controversy, he handled it like all the people he's always criticized.
Yes.
He was just completely phony about it. He ignored it. He kept doing this weird thing where he's like, well, if I could say what I wanted to say, it's like, who's stopping you? Just say it.
If there's anybody who can, it's you.
Yeah, right. So it was very weird, and he pretended it was, with the Saudi Arabia thing, he pretended it was like the cancel culture crowd going after him when it was his fans. And it wasn't his fans being like, I should rephrase that. Some people were like, how dare you go to Saudi Arabia? But I think a lot of people like me were like, no, you criticize billionaires. Your shtick now is criticizing billionaires.
Yeah.
And you went and criticizing the government. And you went over and danced for a government and listened to their rules, and then came back and said, hey, the Chili's over there is terrific.
Yeah, that was his take on it. Yeah. Oh, wow. It's amazing. I can buy boats. It's like being in Brooklyn.
He did an infomercial. He came back and did exactly what they dreamed of. He did an infomercial for them.
Yeah, and thereby made, American comedy, in a way, their bitch, I mean, like, he made them the Saudi Arabians, one of the sister wives or something. It's really too bad. We'll come back to that in a second, but Julia Madoff here with $5. If only Kirk Minahan knew you were working with a dork like Carl.
That is what I did miss. I was at I guess I was at Barstool again, but not I wasn't really a Barstool employee. I was on the Kirk Minahan show, and that I miss a lot because that was a very cool. That's the type of radio. I mean, it was a podcast, but like the type of radio I grew up listening to. It's a very rare. It doesn't really exist in that form anymore. Like I think he's the closest to what people liked about Stern and what I liked about Stern, without all the shit I didn't care about. Like, I never really cared about, hey, we're throwing baloney at this girl's tits, like the shock jock stuff.
Yeah.
But, like, the interpersonal stuff with Stern is what I really found interesting. And I think that's what that show was, the Kirk Minahan show. So That I
Well,
missed.
I mean, yeah, but don't you have to have some kind of like? He must have had a very. I don't know Kirk Minahan, unfortunately, so I'm speaking without knowing. But does he have the kind of personality that Stern has that can draw you in for stuff like that?
Yeah, I think he would say he was definitely influenced by that. Yeah, I think he's got a very dynamic and polarizing personality.
Okay, and he brings and so like he brings the whole office into it, and so it's like it's sort of a show about the show a little bit.
Yeah, and there's a lot of like fans end up becoming. I mean, I was a fan of the show and ended up becoming like a regular personality on the show. And like he says that like the type of guest that Barstool gets, he always says like I think the example he used was like I'd rather talk to fucking some guy that we have in all the time than Tom Holland. Like, what am I going to talk to Tom Holland about? But like these people, I have something we can talk about. There's similarities. There's things you can pick on and have fun with. So yeah, there is that dynamic for sure.
In the end, you question whether or not like having a name in is going to do anything anyway. So what's the point?
Right. Yeah, it might get views for a day because people click on it to be like, "Hey, Zendaya is on." But you're not going to retain that audience. They're not going to be like, I wonder what else this guy thinks.
Well, you were a huge radio fan, and you listened to mostly Stern. I know you were an O&A fan too, right?
Yes, yeah, much more. Howard Stern, I've listened to as like a radio. I would never call myself a fan of Stern. Not in either. I didn't hate him, didn't love him, but like O&A, I was a genuine fan of.
And so you go deep on the lore and all that.
Yeah.
And so now seeing Anthony, isn't it a treat, to see him, the resurgence of Anthony Cumia? It's completely, God, it's so welcome. It makes me feel better about the world somehow that's happening.
It's weird. What's really weird is I've done segments about Opie, like making fun of Opie. And Anthony has commented on them and said they were funny, which is very weird to think, like, if you're listening to a radio show, like, hey, maybe I'll make fun of one of these guys eventually, and the other guy will enjoy it. But that's cool. I think that is a good sign. Like, just the fact that he's back on radio. I don't know that it's some, like, monumental win. I don't know that other station or other radio companies are going to follow suit or anything. But I do think it is a good sign because, like, sometimes people give me shit for saying cancel culture as like it's calmed down. It's simmering for now. It'll be back eventually, but like it's nowhere near as bad as it was 6 years ago. I don't think
it's not.
But sometimes people try like I think the people that make like a life out of arguing about that stuff, they'll be like, "Open your eyes, man! It's still out there." And it's like sometimes you got to take a win. Sometimes you got to be like, "Hey, it's not nearly as bad." And I think Anthony being on the radio, even if it's just Sunday nights. I know he's talked to. I guess he's going back to afternoons now or something.
Yes, I heard about that.
But even if it's just Sunday night, like that's a. I think that's a good thing.
Huge, and he was radioactive, completely, and in that environment of like 2014. I mean, it was worse than it was 6 years ago, arguably. Maybe maybe not. I think there was such a big reaction to the Trump presidency that it did kind of like start swinging that way, as far as just like how. I mean, people were afraid to say retard. They were afraid to say anything that like the fear was really palpable then, and now it's really not, people are saying stuff. It seems like if cancel culture was as bad now as it was then, literally 90% of people would be canceled.
Sure, yeah. And it's definitely lightened up. And now you start to see it going the other way where people will go on Kill Tony and just say tranny and think that like qualifies as stand-up comedy. So then that'll be corrected eventually. So it's this swinging pendulum. But my thing was always like, let society figure that out rather than just trying to ruin people's lives.
Yeah, I agree. Well, I mean, you have very vocal people, and they want things the way they want them, and that's and we see it in the Dabbleverse. Now, I'm a lot more entrenched in the Dabbleverse, I guess, than you are because you're a little more, you're a little newer to it. I mean, but you're doing Dabbleverse.
As the host of Dabbleverse Live, it's funny, but you are correct.
That's what I was about to point out. Yeah.
Dabbleverse
Live is one of the best shows on. It really is. I mean, it moves quickly, and you guys cover a lot of stuff. Now you have this Doom segment, where Doom brings in like these, people that you guys can't bother to watch.
Yeah.
And yeah, so
Which I like because I know at least one of them. I forget. I'm trying to think of which segment it was, but there was something he definitely sent us. Oh, it was Granny had some kind of injury, like his dad beat him up or something,
yes, yes.
and his co-host didn't really know how to handle it. And Doom sent us that. It's something I never would have found otherwise. But like, I thought we had a lot of fun with that. That's the stuff I like. I don't really give a fuck about like. Yeah, I guess to use the same example, if you were like, "Hey, Granny and his co-host broke up. They're not doing a show anymore." What am I going to say about it? Okay. Wow. Damn. No. Well, I'm Team Granny. Like, I don't really give a fuck. But like, if you send us that segment and it's just something we can like make fun of or pick on, like that to me is very fun. Like we did. I was on with Shuli and Carl the other day, and we were just listening to Stuttering John's book. And I was like, this is what I got into the Dabbleverse for. It wasn't like arguing like, hey, should Aaron be suing Patrick Melton? Like,
Oh God.
it wasn't like these real life things that you had to argue. It was just like, hey, let's listen to John's book and laugh at what a pompous asshole he is.
We're all getting a lesson in court. You know, it's
Right.
ridiculous. I'm like you. I think that there's a lot of court fatigue going on in the Dabbleverse.
Yeah, and then you have to weigh in on stuff where I'm like, I that seems odd for a lawsuit, and then you'll get comments like, you don't know fucking anything about the law. Like,
True.
I don't. I know I don't.
Guilty.
Just a guy talking.
And then, but you do want to comment on some of these things. I mean, if something does seem odd, there's so many things throughout it that have seemed odd, and it's really irritating to see it become like a real life thing. You know, I've had situations in court where I'm like, what? I can't believe that this is elevated to the point of public discourse where there's a judge and like none of this stuff makes any sense.
Or even
go ahead.
even not even the lawsuit stuff, but even like we played a clip the other week where like Moody makes fun of Aaron on This Little Piggy. So now Aaron is going after like a charity that Moody works with or something.
Jeez.
And it's just like that. And then you'll get people that argue and they're like, well, Moody makes fun of him. Why can't Aaron do that? It's like the line to me seems so crystal clear.
Yeah.
Of what's appropriate and what's inappropriate.
It all seems very obvious, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Things that are outside of this screen, you just don't mess with. But man, they want to do that, and even people messing with channels and stuff like that. It's like there's really toxic stuff floating around, but there's a lot of really fun stuff too. The Dabbleverse is like, as you cover it every week, pretty colorful, and it's gotten more. And I think it's important that Doom segment, Doom's got a pretty good eye for the good clips, like you said, Granny getting beaten up, but also like I think that we're in danger of splintering, if there's not something like that to kind of bring it all together, the bigger shows and those shows. Otherwise, I think you just start to see it move off in two different directions. There's not a lot of connection between like Granny and Stuttering John or 2K and Melton per se. It's like it's interesting though. What do you think? Do you think that it could do that?
I don't know. Sometimes I get very confused with like the rules of some stuff. Like me and Carl did before we were doing Dabbleverse Live. We were doing Who Are These Socials, which we just talked about. Basically the same type of people we talk about on our shows, but just like focused on TikTok and Instagram. And the most popular guy we covered was this guy Woke Dad. We started calling him Woke Dad, Daniel Alexander. He's like a liar. He's just
that
like
guy's the best.
He's the greatest. Yeah. So he just like makes up these stories of hate that he encounters and bigotry that he encounters in the real world. And he's a very funny guy to talk about. And then he was away for a while. He went radio silent for like 8 months or something. And when he came back, I was like, oh shit, we got to play this on the show. And then people they're like, this is not Dabbleverse. That's a real sentence that multiple people wrote. This is not Dabbleverse. And I was like, well, no, it's a thing me and Carl what is Dabbleverse? That it's me. it's a show me and Carl were doing that we covered this guy for a while. Like, what is the Dabbleverse then? I guess I thought it was just like a character we talked about on a Dabbleverse show. You know what I mean? I don't know. I get confused. And by the way, let's say it isn't, because he doesn't interact with the. I get why you would say it's not technically. Who gives a shit?
Yeah, but I mean, what are we gonna do? I mean,
End
like,
the show. Who gives a shit? You know?
right? It's entertaining. It's a guy, especially you've been covering the guy forever, and he's so. Yeah. It's funny how he does have to make up shit that happened to him because the demand for hate has somehow exceeded the supply.
Yes.
It's
yeah.
amazing.
Well, it is. I think the reason I found him, if I'm not mistaken, is I got really into. There was a trend happening. Do you remember that Ruth Conda Forever tweet?
I don't think so.
It was so Ruth Bader Ginsburg died, and fuck, I'm forgetting who it was, but some figure in politics or political commentary or something tweeted out that her daughter said something like just wholly unbelievable, like had this powerful statement on Ruth Bader Ginsburg that and then she ended with Ruth Conda Forever. And it was just like this unbelievable thing that everyone, no matter the side, I think everyone mocked that on the internet. But it became a thing where there was a trend online where people would just lie and be like, I came home today and my 6-year-old with tears in his eyes said, Papa, we're not going to elect that bad orange man again, are we? And it was just like this crazy, like, who thinks they're believing this? Even politicians were doing it. Like Eric Swalwell had one, I remember, that I covered on my show. So I just started like searching for those online, and Daniel Alexander was the best one ever, where it's like, it's just this race to be like, I don't know, I'm a victim, but I'm also a hero.
Yes.
Yeah.
Victim hero. Well, they're one and the same now. I mean, just being a victim makes you half a hero, and then, however you overcome it or whatever you're choosing to share about it, I think, is what maybe fully cements it into giving you the hero status. So and he's just nobody, though. I mean, he's not like, like I remember when Trump got elected. I always forget names. I'm terrible with them, but it was a guy on CNN covering, and he's like, I'm afraid of breakfast. What am I going to do? How am I going to explain this to my kids?
Right.
And that kind of shit. And then it evolved into, like you said, Mike Kear's kid with tears in his eyes. But who cares about like some guy? And that's it shows people trying to latch on to a certain ideology in order to like sort of make themselves important or be somebody. Mm-hmm. And he is the picture of that. And it does put him into like one thing you guys were covering with Dan was him trying to be, he had this terrible idea, a mobile coffee stand.
You call it terrible if you'd like, but it's 3 or 4 years strong now. It's a mobile coffee shop that doesn't move. He goes and parks in the same place every day.
And he's like, "Oh, this would be great. We can park." It's like as you guys went through it, like all the reasons why this is just such a nonsensical idea. It seems like, I guess business isn't his thing. Ryan here with $1.99. Did Mike think Jamie Foxx as Ray Charles was good?
I get, yeah. I mean, he sounded a lot like him. I don't know enough about Ray Charles really to be like he nailed it, but he sounded like him.
Yeah, you don't get a chance to ask that every day. Terry Nee, $2. Ray DeVito is our covenant. Covalent bond? God bless him.
Covalent bond, I think.
Covalent? Boy, am I ever dumb. That's a word I don't come across every day. Covalent bond, meaning what?
You lost me there. I know how to pronounce it.
I think I get it from context. Yeah, he's the thing that if you're not really familiar with Ray DeVito, then you're not a Dabbleverse. I think to be Dabbleverse, which it's weird to hear it as an adjective.
Yeah.
The standalone adjective noun to be Dabbleverse, I'm not exactly sure what formal word that is.
I thought it was kind of lame of people to be like, no, to like protest that, because I was like, yeah, it doesn't exactly fit the format, but we're introducing him. It's that you can get into him, in my mind, the reason it fit is because like you can get into him for the same reasons we got into John or Aaron or any of these other people. And like I do a show about the world of stand up and comedy, but like we'll also talk about Alec Baldwin. And I've never had anyone be like, "Hey, he's a dramatic actor. What is he doing on here?"
That's not stand up.
Right.
Yeah, well, I think okay. So what is Dabbleverse? You bring anybody in, and they start talking back. That's what's interesting. Eventually, they hear about it. A lot of times, it took Jerry Banfield years to hear about WATP,
Right.
and now he's talking. Calling them haters and stuff like that. It's wild, to see that because I wasn't very aware of Jerry Banfield. Fascinating guy. Now, what if he gets into it and starts can you believe that, DJ Electrify has, Jerry Banfield just joins in and becomes a full-fledged dabble guy? Because I think that's what it takes. If you're going to be a Dabbleverse person, you have to be talking about Dabbleverse shit.
I think the mistake, if you want to call it that, which I wouldn't even really, it's something fun for people to talk about and shit on us for, I guess. But like the mistake that we made was like calling it Dabbleverse Live, when I think in hindsight, we just should have, I don't know what the name would have been, but it should have just been me and Carl doing whatever we wanted,
Yeah.
There seemed to be this thing where people were like, this isn't Dabbleverse, and they're stealing from the smaller show. And I, at least me, I don't know what Carl's intention was, but I don't think it was that either. But I'll just speak for me and say, it never crossed my mind that we were stepping on the toes of anyone else, any other show, bigger or smaller.
Well, how are you stepping on anybody's toes?
I don't know, but we get that comment a lot. Like, hey, this show was already doing that or whatever. And like, to me, it's just like, oh, we're covering the same stuff that Carl might cover on WATP or I might cover on my show. And we happen to be doing it together.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be 100%. Look, I agree with you totally. Forget that's a couple of people yelling that, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm reacting to the minority, but I think it's an interesting point. When enough people say it, I'm like, oh, it's an interesting point to make that I just don't agree with. But like, I don't think there's anyone, like if you're listening to me talk about, Tom Segura and Christina P. getting a divorce, by the time I get to it on Sunday, 15 other comedy channels have already talked about it. So like if you're looking to me for news, you're not going to watch it, but you might be interested in what I say about it,
Right. So you're not looking at necessarily to break stuff on there. I think it was smart calling it something other than like, who are these socials, keeps it in that who are these kind of branding.
Right.
And it's good branding and stuff, but at a certain point there's something to be said for a new look, and it's got a great look. Looks like a sports show kind of a little bit, and it has this it's very regimented, and I guess that's his German nature coming out or something. But that's how Carl does stuff. It's all very the train's running on time type shit. And
yeah, we have very different styles. I take like forever on subject. Like there's stuff I could do like an hour and a half on one subject. And he's a little more regimented, like you said, which I think that can be a good mix because sometimes I might loosen it up and will take a little longer on something, or he'll move me along quicker when I'm repeating myself.
I'll get into a clip sometimes, or just watching whole shows. It was worse before. Back when I used to, for a while, I was kind of going 11 till 5 or 6 every day or something, and it was like that's not really. I don't know. When you dive into something that deep,
yeah.
After a while, people have to get kind of like, all right, is there another thing, And like, I do like to switch it up a little bit more quickly now, but I can never do it like Carl. I don't know. I cannot create one segment to save my life.
No,
just not my thing. Planning stuff, can't get into it. I'm not. And that's how you end up 56 in the Dabbleverse. Ref Fugly 499. I think the pool of intellectual property in the DV is shallower than the one Quad jumped into. People need to calm down.
Right.
I suppose with suing each other and stuff like that. My intellectual property, that was when John was talking about. I've got a right. I can defend my rights, and all. It's like, shut up, dude. It's like you don't make it like, the Sermon on the Mount or something. You're being petty, and you know it. And even if you turn it into something like, well, that's a legitimate concern I have, you don't have to make it sound like you're really, just like trying to reverse the course of history or something.
Yeah, and I think Carl's actually been very good about. I mean, with John in particular, because that was kind of like the guy he found and sort of built an audience on that. Like people started finding that show because they're like, "What's Stuttering John doing?" Like that was a very unique thing about that show and a thing they were covering for a long time. And then other shows started doing it. And people always give Shuley shit, but like I also started covering him in a million other shows in the Dabbleverse. And Carl was always very good about like knowing not to freak out about that.
Yeah.
And be like, "Hey, that's mine. Stuttering John is mine." Because I think he understood that like, well, if you enjoyed me talking about it, you're still going to listen to me talk about it. You might also listen to Shuley talk about it. And having Carl and Shuley talk about it adds this. I mean, look what it's added, where now there's lawsuits and conventions and and shit like that. So like, I think having a world built around it where it's not just one show, I think is actually a good thing. And I think a lot of people would have been territorial with that stuff, and it's hard not to, because sometimes there's just stuff that I stumble onto early, and people will talk about it after seeing it on my show, and there's a part of me that wants to be like, "Hey, motherfucker, I know where you saw that," but then I'm like, why would I give a fuck? Why would this annoy me? It's almost like a tribute. They saw it on my show, now they're talking about it. It's kind of a cool thing, actually.
Yeah, you really did they bite on that, and then
Right.
they bit harder. They bit so hard they wanted to share it.
Right.
It's nice if you get a little mention or something, but who cares?
Right.
The problem with when he discussing the intellectual, what is he saying? The intellectual property is that these days there's been a shift. It used to be that people had a show, and sometimes they would deviate from the show a little bit to get into some kind of a personal argument, that they have with some other streamer or whoever. Now it's like that's the main course is who's feuding with who and stuff like that. And without that, there is no show.
Right.
And people's personal lives and personal you've managed it. You don't get caught up in that at all. I mean, I don't think anybody feuds with you.
No, not really. I mean, I would get into it if someone like criticized me in a way I don't agree with. I definitely would. But there's been like people send me clips of one guy. Well, I don't even think he does a show anymore. But people send me like a clip of him making fun of me, and they're like, "Are you going to talk about this on your show?" And I watched the clip, and I was just like, "Talk about what? That he's doing to me what I do to everyone on my show every week?" Like he's literally like he doesn't find me funny and he's making fun of me. What am I going to say? Hey, nah, I am funny. Like what? How am I going to argue with this? So yeah, people get very worked up. If someone said something about me, like me and Tukey got into an argument the other night, and I just didn't like agree with him on something, and then we were fine. It's not that it doesn't always have to be a big drama-filled event just because you disagree with someone.
People use this area to work out a lot of petty and old bullshit gripes, and they'll say anything. And the thing is, I don't necessarily think that everybody's gonna believe like some. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of people do, but they it's like the kind of things that they would say about Melton Schmuel. The pedophile gets thrown around an awful lot, and it just becomes something that you can whip somebody with if you have a personal problem with them. It just becomes part of the array of weapons that you have there, and it's lazy. I mean, you don't have to like actually look at what a person's doing, or you're not disagreeing with what they say. They just pissed you off when you were in their chat, and so now you're going to go and say they beat women or something. Which that's.
That sounds personal, Pat. It sounds very targeted. But, but no, that was the logical next step to like racist becoming like no one gives a fuck anymore. Like if you call someone if I hear someone's a racist, my instinct is to not believe it now. Because that term's been used so much. So the natural evolution, like, okay, well then if I can't call this person a racist, what can I call them that'll piss them off? And it became pedophile or whatever.
Which is so much.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's a huge step. There's got to be some stops along the way between racism and pedophilia.
You would think, but the reason they did it is because they know that's going to piss them off. And like, how many times has it worked where people online are like, fuck you, no, I'm not. They threaten to sue over it, whatever. Where it's like, Yeah, that's what they're trying. They're trying to get a rise out of you.
I guess, but
It's a
Jesus.
shitty thing to do. I'm agreeing with you, but I
Yeah.
also get why it's happening. I guess.
Yeah. Here's a MSIP 747. How do you know when a turd is fully flushed, Mike? This seems to be pertaining to your blindness.
Yes, it's an age old question.
Okay. Here's Steven Seagal. Oh no! All right. I have this problem with my super tips lately, and it's not a problem that nobody else has anything to do with. It's something I've done. If you open up more than one of the things, like oh yeah, you don't care about super tips. You're into dabble tips. I forgot. You're a dabble tip guy.
I'm not an any tip guy.
I think it's this one. No, all right. Yeah. So yeah, I thought that was interesting. I thought like it would be easier with super tips. You obviously you don't want to do more reading, but they read themselves. With the voice tips.
Yeah. So my thing. It's very funny. I'm surprised how much people have a reaction to this. Like, I think people think I'm shitting on it or something. I think it's a great idea. I think it's very cool that they figured out a way, because what YouTube takes, it's an egregious percent.
It is.
Yeah, like it's laughable. If you presented that to someone and we're like, hey, people can tip you, we're going to take 30%. It doesn't make any sense. It's like, well, why do it? Why even offer the service? So it's very cool that those guys made something that gives the creators more. My thing isn't built on super tips the way a lot of shows are. I just don't like focus on like, oh, this is how I'm going to make my money, is people will donate. If they want to donate and support the show, I appreciate it. But I'm not looking to, I've always said like, we'll read some super chats between segments. And I've always said if that section got longer, like if we had 15 to 30 super chats each segment to read, I would stop reading them. I would say before the show, like, hey guys, feel free to super chat. We're not going to get to them, or we might not get to them unless they pertain to the show, but I appreciate the donations, whatever. So the reason I have never added super tips is I'm just not looking to make that segment longer. Because if I add it, then people are expecting me to read them or play them, which I have no real interest in.
You and I feel very differently about small sums of money. Steven Seagal here.
Aloha, the Blind Microphone Project. I work all over the North Shore of our home and enjoy your work. That's why I'm giving Pat my money.
Thank you, buddy.
I don't know if I fully understood the sentiment behind that, but I appreciate it. We were talking about stand-up before the show, too. Now, I'm not doing very much stand-up anymore. I've done it twice this year, actually. It's not much at all, but I do miss it. I do love it, and I don't know. I'm not properly situated for that right now. It's like giving up part of your identity when you stop doing stand-up. It's like I think when Tom Myers is known for comparing doing comedy to running into a burning building, or
Yes.
Well,
Just doing your job.
it's obviously exactly like that.
Right.
And when you give up stand up at all, when you back off of it, it does kind of like I think cops are like that too. They lose part of their identity when they, give me your badge and your gun and everything, whatever the fuck. I don't even know what I'm talking about, but it's something that I do miss, and I will be doing it again. Well, would you feel that way? Huh?
I asked why aren't you? Why haven't you been doing it?
Well, when I came from Manhattan, I didn't have a car, right? Mm-hmm. And so like getting a car has just been a process for me. I'm like, I don't know, man. I've had opportunities to go ahead and pull the trigger on it, and I'm just like, I don't know. So when in New York, you can do stand up, without any vehicle at all. Mm-hmm. But like it's not really the same down in Chattanooga. And it's just been a long time since I've worked road clubs and shit like that. And, I can go back over and do, there's plenty of stuff to do locally, but I don't know. I guess I'm too lazy. Actually, when you get right down to it, it's not too lazy to actually get up and go. It's more like I don't want to have to talk to people and stuff.
Right.
Like, I feel like they should know who the fuck I am, Put me up. Put me on your stage. You should be fucking thrilled, And it's weird how proprietary they get with their, like, this is my show, and, like, I don't know if I want to let you on it or not. And it's, okay, maybe it's too big of a ding on my pride.
Now, why... if you've said this a million times, feel free to just tell me to fuck off. I just don't know the answer. Why did you leave New York? Is that like, did you think, oh, I can get stage time anywhere, and then that ended up not being the case, or were you kind of done with stand up in that way, anyways?
No, I loved New York, and I had a great time in New York. I moved there in 2006, and I was there until 2022. So 16 years, and I never thought I would leave. But after the big, the pandemic and everything,
yep,
stand-up changed there a lot. And, there were some places they wanted, like, a vaccination card and stuff like that. I mean, like, it sort of, there was a lot of turnover right then, too. When they did start rebooking it, they started rebooking it less with a mind of having, I don't know, like, a bunch of funny white guys, and I'm not saying that they didn't already have diverse shows, but there was this really new, like, hardcore push. If you remember what the country felt like right at that time, a lot of rioting and shit like that had been going on, and people were really looking to, like, bring in a lot more Indian women. Every club started booking like it was the Montreal Comedy Festival.
Right.
And that's great. I got no problem with that. It just doesn't really include me that much.
Yeah.
You have to be the funniest white guy in New York now. And I'm not saying that you can't go do comedy there if you're a white guy. It's nothing like that. It's just that, like, one of the clubs that I went to all the time shut down. I mean, there's still stuff to do. I know it's still a great place for stand-up. I'm sure it's not the same place that it was when I moved there. There was 14 full-time clubs. And you just never thought you'd hit the bottom of that, And then all the theater shows and all the bar shows and stuff happening all the time. Even alternative comedy hadn't completely died out at that time. But the main reason was that, like, financially, I lost my job at Compound after I punched Gino Biscotti.
Right.
And then at first I was suspended, but then when he started, he said his jaw was broken, which, was dubious. They said you have to be fired. So it was like, okay, well, I'm not making any money here from that. I can't count on that anymore. It was kind of like, that was one of my last ties to the place. Okay. My wife and I split up in 2020, and then losing that in 2022, I was like, I guess it's time to go. I guess the city's telling me to take the fuck off. Stand up completely flipped, lose my wife, and then get fired. It's time to go.
Have you thought now of going somewhere, even maybe back to New York, but even, like, I know there's a scene in Nashville a little bit, Austin, obviously, somewhere like that. Have you considered going?
It's not that I haven't considered it, but I don't think it's for me. I really like it in Chattanooga. I mean, like, I know it sounds like a crazy thing to just like where you live, and it's like where it's
no, not at all. It does if you want to do stand up, but other than that, it seems perfectly normal.
That's the thing, right? Yeah. It's that's what I mean. It's like, if you want to do stand up, it's not the greatest, right, or in the top 50 places to do stand up. Somebody says here, glad to see Blind Mike 499. Thank you, Dill Dog. Appreciate it, Dill Dog, regular contributor to the show. One of our favorites in the chat. Appreciate it, Dill Dog. Glad you're here. It's so that's it. That's it. I mean, that's the long answer to a short question, I guess.
Yeah.
I never thought I would want to go. I started doing the show there that I do as a podcast, New York City Crime Report, in 2011, and now I still do it, but I do it from Chattanooga, and it's a little. What can you say? It's a little strange. If I would have known I was going to get that over at Censored right away, Censored.tv, then I maybe wouldn't have been so quick to move. But I moved at the end of July, and that was the last month I was there. Right. And so I was kind of taken care of, and I appreciate that. I've been very lucky in my stand-up career, like I had a special on Comedy Central without even submitting. They just asked me if I wanted to do it, and that's like, that doesn't really happen very much. So a lot of stuff I've gotten has just kind of come along, and I can't say that that I've worked really hard at that part of it. I mean, we were talking about business versus comedy a little while ago. There are guys who are really, really good at the business part, and they think of putting their sets together in a way that is going to be good for business. And sometimes they're formidable, but I think there's kind of a glass ceiling on it. You can't really love somebody like that.
I think Schultz is a guy like that, kind of. To a degree. I think he's a great businessman, and like, I find him funny. Some people don't. I think he has his moments. I don't think he's the greatest comedian of all time, but like I've heard him say funny things. But I do think he's got more of a business mind than a stand-up mind.
When people say, like, do you think Chad Zumock is funny? It's like how people ask, well, do you think women are funny? Being funny is, sometimes. Some Chad Zumocks can be funny sometimes. But nobody says Chad Zumock is hilarious. Nobody is like, that is the fucking shit right there. Who do you think is hilarious?
I mean, like right now, like younger guys, or just ever?
Oh, I mean, ever. Mostly ever. But I mean, you could go into both.
Norm's probably my favorite human being that's ever lived. I love Norm Macdonald. I think Louis C.K. is one of, if not the greatest stand-up of all time.
Yeah, he's very good.
Yeah.
I mean very good doesn't cover it. He's not good like, oh, yeah, he's got this stand-up skill down. I mean, he's one of those guys who kind of splits it a little bit and turns it into something else. And that's amazing when you can do that, when somebody does that. When their way of doing something is so unique that it's not just about skills.
I think he's incredible, and I've seen some people call his new special like hack, and I don't understand it. Like I can't really wrap my head around it. I don't know if it's like they don't like him because of the controversy or what it is, but I've never disagreed with something more. I thought it was actually like great.
Are you hearing that more from critics or from just people?
I guess both. I get critics and like online comments.
Right. So it's kind of like who's not a critic since Twitter came, right?
Sure. Yeah. But there are some people, like I think whenever Shane, or maybe Gillis is reaching a point where he'll get some criticism, but like I think when Shane puts something out, people generally it's beloved. Like you don't see a lot of like fuck this guy. So there are some people, and Louis used to be that. Like Louis was the darling of everyone. He was a guy who could make a rape joke, and the left would stand and applaud. So he was beloved by everybody.
God,
and then
he could use the N-word on stage, and they would. It's amazing that he
the N-word, the F-word, whatever. And then
a lot of gay voice too. Sorry to interrupt, but just to let it out. Well, I mean, he did everything that they hate.
Yeah. And it seems like that change, like all his specials, I think have been on par with everything he's ever done. And the reviews of them are just so much different that it shows such a bias in people that I don't know if they realize they're exposing.
When they decided to turn, it's interesting because like he was a great example of how there could be a lot of hypocritical people. They're so against, now I would never use the N-word on stage just because, I mean, like I have no reason to do that. I can't think of one situation where none of my humor pertains to. I quit talking about race altogether. Like after a glass got thrown at me one time, and I wasn't even saying anything at that point. It's just like even introducing the topic, can make an eye get up and throw a glass. So. He was the guy who said all the shit they found so abhorrent, and yet they were cool with it.
Yeah.
It shows, well, it's not the word, it's how the guy, how they believe the guy actually is, and so, they can talk about intent and all that kind of stuff. The intent was always to be funny, and that's the main thing is the comedy part of it. But Louis now, if there's. I haven't seen the new special or anything. I haven't heard it. I don't know.
Good. I don't think it's his best, but I thought it was very good.
What's it called?
Ridiculous.
Yeah, these one-word titles.
You're not a fan?
I don't know. I mean, like they're fine, I guess. What are you going to call a fucking special anymore? I mean, like I like some of the titles I've heard lately. I mean, even Chad's title, I thought I forget what it was. It was proposed. I think it was Special Needs.
That's fun.
Yeah. Which it's appropriate enough. But like, okay, so CK, and you mentioned Norm. Did you appreciate Norm in his lifetime?
Yes. Yeah. I was actually so I had tickets to see Norm October, like mid-October at the Wilbur Theater of whatever year he died. And the day he died, or like before I found out he died, but on the same day, I came home and my girlfriend told me, she's like, "Hey, that day we have tickets for Norm. I'm not going to be able to make it." So I text one of my buddies and say, "Hey, the skirt can't go. Can you come on this date?" And he goes, "Yep." And then I go on Twitter and I see Tim Dillon talking about what a great man Norm Macdonald was. And I was like, "This is odd. What are the?" And I was like, "No, it was crazy. It literally happened within an hour of that. I don't know why, just totally randomly." But yeah, no, I was a huge Norm fan. I was actually at one of his special tapings, Hitler's Dog, the one that's on Netflix.
God, you were there?
Yeah, it was at the.
That is an amazing special.
It's unbelievable. Yeah.
That's one that I really, really will stand by. Like when we were talking before about, comedians feel differently about comedy.
Yeah.
I don't like to follow comedy and comedians very much, but a Norm Macdonald special was like, yeah, I mean that's odd. That's a different thing. That's a different thing.
Yeah.
He's a guy you could be a fan of and like really. I mean, like, what do you think it is about his style that he's able to just say something that's like a very straightforward breakdown of something, and for that to be the comedy in it? It's amazing.
His command of language and his delivery, there's no one else like it. There's no one that could pull that off. Like a guy who can be, if you just look at his Conan appearances, a guy who can be purely offensive and just say, like shit on Carrot Top's movie or whatever the fuck, but also kill with like the moth joke, or like some drawn out old timey type of humor, like or even like what he did on the Saget roast or any of that stuff. I genuinely think like his talk show, to me, when it was on YouTube, the season he did on Netflix was also good, but like the one that was on YouTube originally, I think is like the best talk show. It's a crime that he didn't get like Craig Ferguson's job or something like that. Because I think it was it was in the style of those classic late night shows, but it was a complete twist on him. It was a different feel. It was done so well. He felt so natural as a host. So yeah, I loved everything he did. And I've seen people say, like you said, was I a fan of his in his lifetime? I've seen people say like, "Oh, Norm." People say they're Norm fans because he died, but like, you look at what he was on every fucking late night show. He was on Howard Stern a million times. Like, I think he was relatively appreciated in his lifetime. I just think he never had anything that was huge because he was so unique and weird that the business didn't know what to do with him, and they were afraid to let him make anything on his own.
He was no bullshit, and you got to be a little bit bullshit.
Yeah. Like his sitcom, I've watched episodes. I think they're all on YouTube now. And it's like a good sitcom, but it's not Norm. It's not like they weren't letting him be Norm. It was just like a sitcom that was on ABC,
Yeah, and that's supposed to be the thing. If you have a sitcom for a little while, man, you're done. I mean, you can do stand up till the end of time, everywhere based on that. You'll sell tickets, but Norm Macdonald, I always liked him, but I didn't know how much I liked him until I started looking at more closely at, just, I guess, I mean, I'm that guy, I mean, I don't like him because he died, but I did after he died become more aware of how much I liked him.
You start like diving through all the clips of him and everything, for sure. Yeah, that did happen to me with a little more with Patrice, where I was a Patrice fan. But then, like, after he died, I think I just consumed so much more of him that I definitely appreciated more after he died than while he was alive, I think.
Listen, I might have told you this story before, and if I did, just go ahead and let me tell it again. But I went to England to do this show called The World Stands Up, and Patrice was there. I'd never met him. And I had this woman with me who wanted to go with me. We were breaking up, basically, but she still wanted to take the trip. And I'm like, I don't want to fight the whole time. I can't do it. I need you to. And she's like, I just want to go. I need you to promise me you're going to be cool, because I didn't want to fight the whole time I'm on this first time to England, trip. And so we're fighting, of course, on the plane. She's starting crap about her fucking meal. She's just a huge hassle. And I guess it was that the second day I was there. Patrice, we had done some warm-up show, and he was sitting there holding court. And we kind of came up, and we're standing like, a little bit, just sort of in the circle. We come up to listen. And he says something about women I guess she doesn't like. And she's like, wait, hold on a second. He looked at her, and he looked at me.
Oh, God.
And me and her again. He goes, bitch, he don't even want you here. So I became an instant fan. Ryan says, whoa, Mike, what do you think is Shuli's best stand-up joke?
I'm not familiar with Shuli's stand-up. I was supposed to watch it with Tukey. He kept teasing that I was going to be on for them to break it down, but then I wasn't.
If there's anybody who's pretty good at breaking down stand-up, it's you. You're pretty good at it. Aaron here, one of the best in the business. From Aaron, $9.99. Thanks very much, Aaron. That rules that you would send that. So wait a second. Wait, I'm going to let me. This is an image tip, and I feel like I need to put this up. It looks like Chad Zumach here. He's holding a sign. You reap what you sow, S-O. If there's any other misspelled words there, forgive me. That's one of the best things I've ever seen happen on a show, was him holding up that sign, sow us the contract.
Yeah, I couldn't understand it. He must have written it too fast. Certainly he knows the word show. Even if you misspell it, you wouldn't spell it S-O.
And just getting in a hurry, I think, yeah.
Yeah, right. It's got to be that.
Yeah, I got to get this card up quick, but it's...
Cold. It needs to be up.
Now, I've got this theory. Now, it says, if you can read this, you're amazing. It looks like a blind guy standing there. Another... similar to the turd question, but thanks very much. So, Chad, I have this half-formed theory, and it's not even a theory. It's just a thought that I think we should consider. Is it possible, because we all consider Chad dumb, and he undoubtedly is something like that, stupid, dumb, whatever you want to call it, but some of the shit he does is too perfect to not be. That was almost too perfect, like you said. I've
been saying this, and no one really seems. I think maybe people misunderstand what I'm saying. I think Chad is more in on the joke than he lets on. I think he has some level of that radio heel, makes things into a bit. I do think, clearly he does lie about stuff and tries to fuck with people, but maybe that's just because he's a piece of shit or whatever that is. But I do think there's an element of he sees a reaction and says, okay, let's run with this, even if it makes me look, even if people are calling me an asshole or a loser or a thief or whatever it is. He is being willing to run with that. He seems more in tune with that than, say, I hate to always use this example, but it is the best one, a Stuttering John. Mm-hmm. Chad is not, he seems more, I don't know if calculated is the right word, but in that area. It's in that arena of being calculated.
You think it's less of his entire seems like it could be possibly less of his entire personality, but I think it is his real personality, and I think that it's his real thing. I mean, like you say, steal, talk about committing to the bit, credit cards, a bottle of liquor for a camera, you know what I mean? There is a video of him stealing liquor, like a security camera video.
I know the credit card thing. I don't know if I know this one.
Yeah. He just takes a bottle of Tito's, and puts it in his waistband and tries to walk out. Or he does walk out. So, Jesus, it's like that would be a level of but I mean, obviously I'm not saying, he did all that stuff with the mind that eventually there would be a Dabbleverse and that he would be fucking around in it.
I'm not saying that, certainly.
But settling into that heel role and do, like you said, the commitment to the bit comes when everybody discovers, everybody's like, come on, man. And then he just he lies so badly that it always breadcrumbs you to this obvious conclusion about why he's lying. and he never will admit it. He's like the fucking Roadrunner.
Yeah, I think Chad is a little more like I think if you ran into Stuttering John out in the world and you got him talking about the Dabbleverse or about Cardiff or whatever, I think he would passionately call them losers and pieces of shit, like just as much as he does on air. Like I don't think it's a bit with John. I get the feeling, and maybe I'm wrong, but I get the feeling like if you caught Chad out in the world, he might be a little more chill about some of this stuff than he is on air. I guess that's what I'm saying. Like obviously all that, like it's crazy that he lied about getting punched by Kumia fans or whatever. And like if he goes after people's jobs on Twitter or whatever he does, whatever people accuse him of, like that shit is crazy and it's stupid and it's over the line, obviously. And it doesn't. I don't know why you would do it. But I think in his mind, he thinks he's participating in some bit for content's sake.
I think he does get butthurt about stuff too. I think that he's somewhere in between there. I don't know if there's nothing going on. Chad will do something, and it's this whole thing now. I mean, I don't want to get into fucking actually talking about Chad, right? I think we're not actually talking about Chad now. We're talking about Chad, like sort of, like what is he? But I think that we need Chad Zumox in this world because I kind of think without him, he's a great lol cow, I mean, like you need the Stuttering Johns and the Chads. You just need them to behave a little bit.
Well, that's all these guys. I said it on my show the other day. Is people get into like when they make fun of that Alec Baldwin video. I don't know if you saw that. Alec Baldwin had some video. The actor Sam Neill died, and Alec Baldwin gave what seemed like it was going to be a eulogy. He says, "I had to come on Instagram because Sam Neill passed away." And that takes 12 seconds. And then for the next 2.5 minutes, he lists other actors, not Sam Neill. He lists people that were in the production of The Hunt for Red October with him and talked about how great it was to work with all of them, what a great experience it was for his career, how it was kind of the biggest role of his life at that point and how meaningful that was. And then he just ends by saying, "My God, Sam Neill." And obviously, it's a very mockable video. It went kind of viral. A bunch of people made fun of it. But people get very into like, you'll read the comments and some people, they'll bring up the Rust shooting in that video. Or be like, "Hey, you called your daughter a pig." Or they'll call Alec Baldwin a piece of shit and get angry about it. And I said, I want to be very clear, like as we cover this video, I love Alec Baldwin.
Yeah.
Because this is so much fun to me. This is way better than watching, I don't know, fucking Hunt for Red October. Like I'm getting way more enjoyment out of this clip than almost anything he's done aside from maybe 30 Rock. Like I love this man for doing stuff like this. I feel that way about Brendan Schaub and Aaron, and like Aaron Imholt, I think is kind of a piece of shit. Like he goes at people in a way where I'm like, it's clearly over the line and shitty. Even if he's being a heel or whatever, I think he's kind of a scumbag. And if he's not in real life, then he's presenting himself that way on purpose, I guess. But even him, I'm like, yeah, I enjoy the clips that I play because I don't really get into a lot of the lawsuit stuff. Like the goal, it's embarrassing, it's humiliating. I don't know why he does it, but I love it. I'm not trolling him. I'm not mocking him. I find it hysterical, and I'm glad he does it. I never want him to stop doing it.
Yeah, and people will naturally fall into stuff like that these behaviors that do come naturally to them.
Yes.
And they, like maybe little playing it up, but no, mostly it's just him being him. And it's a funny thing when somebody's like, "I need this much money by then, by this time."
Yeah.
What a weird thing to set up for yourself.
More often than not, and here I guess I'm going against my own point because it does seem real with Chad to a degree. I think more often than not, if it's fake, like if someone's just completely playing it up, you can tell. You can tell inauthenticity pretty easily. So to a degree, even if these guys are exaggerating a little, like that is in them, including Chad and all these other guys.
Right. Good point. Yeah, it has to be. Like you said, if somebody's just wholly doing a character, they're never going to quite get it right, and have these little deviations off of it and also be in denial of it. I mean, like it took him a long time to really embrace this, money grubbing aspect of the whole thing. He was doing really well on Twitch, and just he's had some some bad things happen to him. I'm sure that it's like, you reap what you sow. I suppose, but he does take it outside of the boundaries of just like going back and forth on the internet a lot. But he has a strategy similar to MLC, similar to where you not only do you have a show, but you've got an alternate reality there. You can really bend it. So like whatever's happening, you don't have to show a clip. You just say that was what's happening. You reinterpret reality to a degree that it's like. To me, I can't get into it because it's so unreal.
It makes you wonder if it would work with an audience of any real size. Like, could Tim Dillon go on and just like his fans are going to believe whatever he says? Yes, some people might call him out, and there will be shows that make fun of him. But like, would his fans just be like, "I believe him" with no research? Like, are there steel toe fans out there that are like? Yeah, Melton's a monster who cries when Aaron hits the goal. Like, does anyone that listens to that show believe that?
I literally burst into tears. We're all seething because he's so much bigger. I mean, numerically, it's incorrect. Objectively, it's incorrect. It doesn't matter. I mean, and I guess what I wonder is to what degree does he live in that reality, and to what degree does he really actually know? Yeah, nobody's really seething. They just kind of make fun of me.
He's another one I almost put in the Chad camp where I think he knows more than he lets out. He's a radio guy. These radio guys are very like, well, we'll make a bit. Hey, it's getting reaction. It's getting engagement. Like they're able to sell themselves out in that way. Like I think Aaron's like, hey, it's like how radio guy. It's like a hack trope in radio. Like. If you bring up pit bulls or bicyclists, like the phones light up. Like those are big talkers on just like morning zoo shows.
What were they again? What were they?
Cyclists.
Yes.
Like if you criticize like bicyclists, and if you criticize pit bull owners or pit bulls.
Yes, those are hot buttons. Yes.
People freak out. And so similarly, Aaron knows it will, and I'll still play the clips because I find it interesting. But Aaron knows the only way to get engagement for him is to be like, Carl's a phony and a liar, or Patrick's a pedophile, or whatever the fuck he said. Like, to make these accusations, he knows people are going to react to it and be like, Aaron, that's not true. Now, in Aaron's mind, we're going, what? That's not true. But in reality, we're laughing at him. But I do think he knows that it's better for him. It's why he was goading them into doing This Little Piggy. Like they didn't do This Little Piggy for a few weeks, and Aaron was like, "I've won." He's been trying to get them to do that show again because he knows like it's better for him to have people thinking about him than not.
See, he gets that, and I wonder again. Like a lot of people wish, man, why can't this guy just go away? You kind of need him. I mean, like Stuttering John going away. It didn't leave quite the void, I think, that he might have thought it was going to leave. But it did, I mean, like, it is kind of, like, the more the merrier when it comes to guys like that. But
there's no one in that world as entertaining as John.
Really?
And, well, I think John would take that as a compliment. Well, thank you. But I just don't find, like, pulling clips of Chad or Karmic or any of these people. I don't find it as fun to react to as the John stuff because John is such an over-the-top sitcom character that it's hard to believe it's real. Even the repetitive stuff, you're kind of like, I just can't believe this guy is real, and then he keeps finding new ridiculous ways to embarrass himself, and it genuinely seems like John is not in on the joke for the most part.
Right.
That's what I find the most interesting about him. I just don't. None of the other like Dabbleverse guys intrigue me in the way that John did. Now, John would wear that as a badge of honor.
Yes.
And say, when I'm gone, you're gonna have nothing to talk about. I have plenty of other stuff to talk about. I just find him very, and I would say that about like Brendan Schaub. I find Brendan Schaub very goofable. It's why there's a subreddit dedicated to him, and people have mocked his specials and stuff like that. And people will say like, I thought Tony Hinchcliffe's special was terrible. It was really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And people will be like, hey, that's the next Gringo Poppy. And I say, no, slow down. Gringo Poppy was a work of art. Like Tony Hinchcliffe's special was bad and lazy. But it's like, how much are you really going to do with that? Where Gringo Poppy was so unique and interesting to make fun of, it's a generational talent.
Yeah, it's the Sergeant Pepper of bad specials.
Yes, like it's so fascinating that a mind came up with that, and that's what's interesting to break down. Now, if Brendan Schaub said, "See, like stand-up comedy needs me," I would say, well, no, of course that's not true. But like it is an interesting element of it, you know?
He's at a level of fame that he can't really just get down in the dirt the same way that like Aaron can or whatever, or even John, you know, to say like...
Well, he has had a lawsuit pending for like
well,
6
yeah,
years.
unique and everything, but
Yeah,
but he's not like... He doesn't talk about it really necessarily,
Correct.
does it? Like he's unique, you motherfucker, you piece of shit.
Once
You
in
know,
a while he brings, it's very funny because once in a while he brings up the lawsuit and he's like, yeah, that's done. It's out of my control. It's out of my hands now. People are dealing with it. And like Unique will talk about it and be like, you're suing me. What do you mean it's out of your hands? Drop the lawsuit. I'm guessing Brendan means like his attorneys are just dealing with it in the courts or whatever. Like, I think Brendan has the power to drop the lawsuit.
oh yeah, fire your lawyers and the lawsuit, you know, or just and whatever you do. But I mean, yeah, I know I've had a similar thing, but like that Brendan Schaub did take, you know, part of the reason is like it was such a uniquely bad special, I think, is because he's so new at comedy. He's not somebody, talk about overexposed, you know. I mean, it's like it's a perfect storm. Kind of a dumb guy, maybe a little bit of CTE, and inexperienced at comedy. I mean, like, and the overexposure,
And a tremendous ego.
yes,
Which you need, by the way, you need for sport. What made him an athlete, and people with Schaub, it's like he was a great athlete. Like,
yeah,
people will be like, "Oh, he was top 10 in the UFC when no one was in the UFC." Okay, then fight him then. Like, I don't know. Like,
right.
I don't know what to tell you. Compared to the average human being, he was a great athlete, and to get to the level of athlete he was, you need an extreme ego to keep beating yourself up like that. You need to think you're going to achieve greatness. But that level of ego, and I'm not saying comedians don't have egos, but the style of ego that Brendan Schaub had doesn't work in comedy at all. If you think I'm the greatest, he would literally compare himself. Like people would criticize his comedy, and he goes, "Hey, this is really something he said." He goes, "Hey, Bill Burr and Louis C.K. didn't make it till they were 40."
Oh my god. Damn. You've got big things coming, kid.
Right. It's like that ego works in sports. It is to your detriment in comedy, I think.
Yeah, that's why athletes don't talk so much, you know. People hear what you actually think. I mean, it's getting this from Big W, $4.99. I want to thank the man who saved me from a burning building in 1993. I remember it vividly. I don't remember his name, but I think he had a mustache. Yes. There was a comment about somebody yesterday talking about remembering something vividly and then saying, I don't know if it was a phone call or a text or an email, but I remember it vividly. What's the name? Brennan. Beloved Chatter, $1.99. Can Mike describe what he thinks SJ looks like?
I see well enough to kind of know, and I used to be able to see better. So I have a pretty good idea of what Stuttering John looks like.
Yeah. When he came back from, yeah, 'cause, I mean, you're not, it's not pitch black for you. We talked about that before, and I've heard you discuss it. And I think that was a problem that somebody had with you recently. You're not blind enough.
Yes, they said I should call myself Legally Blind Mike. And
Legally blind Mike.
I didn't give myself the name, and it doesn't roll off the tongue quite as well.
Yeah, that was a pretty funny part of that episode. That was Appleverse Live, right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and who was the guy out there in Ohio?
Comedy Shaman, I think.
Oh, that's Comedy Shaman. Okay.
I think so. I think that's the same segment, yeah.
So he's just a guy. I don't know if he has an audience. I know I've heard of him, and does he have any audience at all?
I don't know. That was my first interaction with him in any way. And I know we played clips of him the following week where he seemed to be struggling with something. Like he was having a tough time. So I don't know. I don't know what his deal is at all, other than those couple clips we played.
I was talking to you before too about Santino. Since we're talking about guys out west, I think of. I mean, I know that. Did Brendan Schaub move back, by the way, to L.A.? Wasn't he gonna? I heard something like that. I know the show's over with him and whoever the fuck that guy is, Brian Callen. Yeah.
I think it's still soldiering on, believe it or not. But
Really?
yeah, I think they're still in Austin. There's always rumors that they're going to break up or move back to Austin. But
What did you think of Callen's last special? I mean, I'm pretty sure you didn't really love it.
oh, I reviewed it.
You reviewed it. I should be watching the review. Yeah.
Oh, give it a watch. Have you seen the special?
I haven't seen all of it because you know what? I did watch a great deal of it actually. Now that I think about it, I know the way and I think I might have watched some of your coverage of it actually.
Okay. I was going to say, so what I've told people, and we put a little thing at the beginning, if you start the special, stay to the end, because you'll even see us be like, and I think people get confused when I say this stuff, but we're watching Callen's special, and it begins very poorly, and I'm like, okay, I get what people are criticizing about this, but then he kind of levels off, and I said it was just like whatever. It was like, I don't know if hack necessarily fits, but it seemed like kind of easy jokes that you've heard before. But I was like, this isn't so bad. And I think people think I mean when I say that. They're like, oh, Mike thinks it's good. But it's like, no, what I'm saying is this isn't hilariously bad. I can't do anything with this really.
Yeah, it's not interestingly bad.
I was kind of like, I don't get all the criticism. And then if you get to the last, I mean, it's probably the last 40 minutes of what we did, but the last like 5 minutes of his special, it's one of the more stunning endings of a comedy special that I've ever witnessed. It's incredible.
It seemed like self-important and like really like kind of like he was making some sort of comment about the way he wrapped it. The bow that he put on it was just like such an odd thing.
He was saying something.
Yeah. Mike is a huge Sam Kinison fan. This comes to us from Voltaire. How do you think Sam would have navigated the woke PC version of Howard Stern?
I wouldn't say I'm a huge Sam Kinison fan necessarily. I mean, I guess I like to think that if Sam Kinison were alive today, he would call that out. But you would say that about anyone. I'm kind of amazed. No celebrity. Who's a celebrity that has called out Howard, really?
Jeez. Anthony Cumia is the closest I can think of. I mean, not a star. Right?
I'm saying I'm kind of amazed no one that was on that show 15, 20 years ago, even like there are clips of like Chris Rock and David Spade kind of making like a throwaway comment about Howard declining. And it's like, even those, if you play, like people are making kind of a mountain out of a molehill, they're not really saying anything. I'm kind of amazed there's no one that was on that show that really called them out. Like I know Artie did and Gil, but I'm saying like, there's no guest that's ever been in there that's like, what the fuck is this? Why are you in Florida? What is like? There's been no one that's really mocked how absurd it is on the show to Howard, and I find that strange a little bit.
Well, they're happy to be there. I mean, it's like a
but
huge.
You'll get people like Bradley Cooper and like Jerry O'Connell, like these people that claim to be like Howard Stern. I grew up listening to you, and it's like no part of you is like I grew up listening to you. What's this? I don't understand. But I think you are right. Is like Howard. One thing Howard has been good at in the last 10 or 15 years is walking the line so that like celebrities still think he's Howard or something.
Well, they know the game that he's playing. I mean, they play the same game. So I think that everybody's had to make changes in how they, represent themselves in public. And Howard, since he's selling himself, I mean, he's really just making the same corrections that any actor has made. It's just it so happens that his product is him. And so like it looks like it reflects more of it's a little more complete in his case, I guess. But they get it.
You know what? Here's a better angle on what I'm saying, because I'm talking about like people that were on the show as guests calling it out.
Right.
Rosie O'Donnell, Ellen, Jennifer Aniston, like these people that Howard would lambaste, and like say really like nasty shit about, and then go in for an interview and it doesn't even come up.
Well, they're like, oh, he finally figured out how great I am.
Like, that's astonishing to me, to be like, this guy said such horrible things about you. And then to go in and not even like joke about it if you're fine with it, like that's totally fine. But like it's not even addressed.
They must either sign something or have an agreement beforehand. Like, yeah, we don't need to go into all that. What we want to do is sell your current. We love you here. We've had a lot of turnover in the background. I don't know how they do it, but
yeah,
it is something to contemplate. I like this idea. We were talking about lol cows, of their awareness of it and shit like that, and how much they bring that to bear. You've watched some karmic, but not very much. That guy has a purity that I don't think a lot of people fully recognize. I mean, he is like, I think the least aware of what's going on. I think of him as the Dabbleverse's little brother.
Yes.
That you can come and torment until he just is throwing having a fit. And it's those buttons are so big that, when people see him, I'm a youngest. I don't really have that same instinct, I don't know where you are in the birth order in your family, but that's what it looks like to me. And I don't know that, where do you, I think he has a pull towards authenticity that's going to like he needs to actually be liked. I don't know if he's going to be able to kind of figure out how to be a steel toe, or like a stuttering John.
I think he's definitely authentic. I've never gotten the sense like, oh, this guy's faking it or anything. But I do like. So my thing with him was when he started popping up, as someone sent me a clip of him or something, and I remember being like, "This is just a retarded guy, right?" And I'm not saying that insultingly to him. I'm saying like, this is like a special needs man that we're making fun of, right? We're just like laughing at a mentally challenged guy.
Wow, was he? He must have been hammered at the time.
But am I wrong about that? Like, is he like a regular guy?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
No. Look, he can sort of. He's a lot more socially awkward than people realize too. Like he doesn't really know his place when he comes onto a show. Certain shows, some places he can be pretty calm and feel fine. But a lot of times you see a different karmic on his show than you do on MLC or whatever. He's immediately kind of shut down. And he did leave high school early because of a dispute that he had with a teacher, because he was mad that the teacher had this man teacher. He had his pick of the pretty girls that he could have as his like teaching assistant. And it just really...
I didn't know this. Now that's interesting. He left high school in protest?
Well, he was probably expelled. But, I mean, the thing is, he's not that reliable of a narrator, but he has mentioned that enough times to where it's like, I don't know. He just said that he was, not... Yeah. He just didn't go after that. It was, So, his dad helped him get a loan, I guess, and he paid for his house. And so he thinks the fact that he was paying for his house all his time means he couldn't have a social life.
Oh, so he lives alone. He does live alone.
He lives alone, yeah, in a house on his parents' property. So the house is also like a Lego house, as they call it, one of those kind that you can drive over the road. And so there's really not a lot of resale value there, but he's spent 20 years buying it, and so that's where he's at, and it's like very remote, 80 miles to the Taco Bell is what I heard last night. So like. Obviously, being remote like that doesn't turn you into karmic, but a guy like karmic, I'm sure it has an effect. But he seems to be looking for a reason not to do the things that he kind of should do. I don't think he really sees it as an option. Everybody's like, just move, just go, just take off. It's not that easy for a guy like that.
Yeah. You know what? If I knew those elements of him, the only clips I see are him, like a chat. Being like, hey, Tukey made fun of you, and he'll scream like, I'll fuck Tukey in the ass or something. He screams violently, and I'm just like, what is this? But I guess if I knew more about, because he seems similar to a guy. There's a guy we covered on WATS, very one of the more famous lol cows, I think, on the internet. But King Cobra
Oh yeah.
passed away, unfortunately. Rest in peace, King. But it's kind of a similar thing where King Cobra was a guy. He had a bit of an ego. He lived in a trailer park. The chat would rile him up, and sometimes he would yell and scream at them. So I guess I could get interested in a character like that. I guess I just don't know enough of the lore to have interested me yet. And I don't know how much of a deep dive on Karmic I want to do.
Well, the people who really feel deeply connected to him are the people who did watch it happen, and that's understandable, of course. You know, I mean, you watch this guy get created just like overnight. He had sort of like a lot of interest, and a lot of people were looking at him, and then things just started to go south, and he just became like an object of ridicule because he started for other reasons he felt he had to be more confrontational with his chat. And then it just turned into the chat fucking with him, But he was a big fan of mine. He super tip me a lot when I was on Rumble, and he was just like a huge fan. And then he started going on MLC, and I told him, well, you're not going to be able to be a fan of mine and be over there, so you're gonna have to learn to hate me. Unfortunately, And he's like, oh, I'd never do that, But like, here we are, and it got really, and I guess for maybe it started to seem a little personal, because I'm obviously what's the term, Eskimo cousins or something like that.
Eskimo
brothers, right? Yeah, I can't. Let's call him a cousin, but like there is that connection, and so, but I was like, I had no problem. I loved that happening, but I also could see. It's funny. A guy like him, like he's like soft mud. There's a big imprint. When something harder than the mud hits him, and so I started to see that imprint forming and going like, "Oh Jesus, man, this is a weird thing to watch." It became really fascinating to me.
Yeah, he's maybe through the right liaison. Like if I watched Melton cover him or something, maybe I could get my head around it and figure out why he's interesting. Just doing a deep dive on Karmic himself.
By the way, I'm saying it isn't fascinating enough for you. Jesus Christ.
Or you watching your coverage of him. I guess I'm saying just watching Karmic raw, I can't do for a period of hours.
I'm the same way with Steel Toe, though. I have to have somebody to kind of walk me into Steel Toe and see, because I looked at him and just thought it's just kind of I did his show, for Christ's sake, before he was a thing. That anybody was talking about, and it just seemed like, this is like a really boring Minnesota guy with a right wing or whatever, look what we later found out about him. My God, sometimes the normal ones will shock you, and especially Stuttering John. To sit and watch Stuttering John, it's like I always thought you had to like really sit and wait for the the really good stuff. You want it trimmed out and everything. Now Grillo, have you been watching Grillo at all?
No, I mean very rarely. No, not recently. Certainly,
Grillo's a pretty interesting, funny guy to talk about too. He's obviously you must have known him from Stern. I didn't know him from Stern. I only know him in this world. But he's sort of like pure happiness in a bowl.
Yeah.
This Kinnison question is how we started talking about how come no celebrities called out this guy. Like Howard Stern, his name is, I think.
Yes.
Stern. And I guess he might have made that turn, because what was the change that I saw in him? I associate it with that long duster, the long duster he would wear, and he would come out to Wild Thing and stuff, and he just went totally like wild, like rock and roll attitude and shit like that. And that was a great thing. Yeah, Kinnison. Yeah, it was a great thing for a minute, but like his comedy wasn't really like that at all in the beginning. I mean, it was like he would get loud and yell and shit like that, but he didn't seem like a cool guy. But then he became like a cool guy.
I think that's the drugs. Well, I think when you do that much cocaine, you you just think you're cool, and like he was able to, because of the subject matter he was talking about, I think like he was anti-religion at a time where that was actually dangerous and stuff. Like he was talking about stuff you weren't supposed to talk about. And so that gives him the element of cool. And the fact that like so many people compared him to Dice, who I guess was considered cool. But like, if you were a real comedy fan, you looked at Kinnison as more of the more authentic voice, and so I think that probably made him cooler as well. I don't know. I guess just his reputation, being one of the outlaws of comedy, all that type of shit.
Right. The Bill Hicks and all that.
Yeah.
He was the one of those guys that truly, truly made it.
Right, because Hicks isn't cool either. Like if you look at Bill Hicks, he's not a cool guy, but in hindsight, what he was doing, it gives it the feel of being cool. You know?
Well, he was kind of like selling that cool angle there towards the end, I think. Like I say towards the end, whatever the special was, where it's like, they're playing Voodoo Child and shit like that, and the doors part and he's like this black silhouette and shit, I mean, like there was a little bit of Smoke Machine in Bill Hicks. He was such a good technical comic. And a lot of people will recognize what a good performer of stand-up comedy he was with the sound effects. And it was very conventional, like those type sounds and shit. Yeah. And, sounds for he really executed on that level more than, it wasn't like Lenny Bruce just like talking into the mic. I enjoy Lenny Bruce on a different level. I mean, like, I'm sure that, some people thought he was, I'm sure he was funny, but like, it's hard to look at comedy from the 40s, 50s, early 60s and relate to it. Comedy doesn't hold up. Which I guess is also an interesting subject. Why doesn't comedy hold up?
I think just the times change to a degree. Well, a couple of reasons. A, there's stuff you've heard a million times. Like even comedy movies, I don't always think hold up. Like maybe my favorite movie when I was a kid was Anchorman, and now if you go back and watch it, you're like, whale's vagina, we get it. Jesus, fuck. I love Lamp. Yeah, no, we know. Because every fucking Sports Center anchor that thought they were funny would say it a million times. It became people's identities. Like that, like it was the drops they would play on Morning Zoo. So you heard those dumb quotes, and it was just meant to be a dumb, silly movie. But it became this cultish thing, and you would hear those lines all the time. Caddyshack's the same way.
You think so?
Well, I'm just saying where it got quoted to death. So if you showed a kid now Caddyshack, they don't have the reverence for it because they've heard that shit a million times. And other movies have parodied that in a way where they think that was first to do it. And so I think there's a lot of that where like you can go back and watch stand-ups premises and it'll feel like, fucking Eddie Murphy's stealing this Dave Chappelle joke.
Oh, right.
I don't know if you know the order of things, Yeah. Like, I'm like even great comedians, they'll stumble upon the same premises and have similar ideas. So like when you watch older stuff, it feels more dated in that way because they're doing it in a more seemingly archaic way, and you don't factor in like, holy fuck, they came to this premise maybe in some cases 20 or 30 years before anybody else did.
But something to consider, don't you think, is beyond just the particular jokes maybe that happen in a movie or they get said. I mean, like it's less true with stand-up. I'm thinking more movies that there's an importance to, like Caddyshack has like an eternal theme. The sort of average people versus rich people. So there's something there that there's a kind of a class humor that's built into it that has been going on since Shakespeare. And I don't know that other movies necessarily. Like Anchorman, it's hard to spot that, No,
I for sure. Some of those earlier movies are definitely more important comedies, but there's also a reason that Caddyshack isn't as popular on streaming as some fucking Adam Sandler movie that came out.
Like Fatty Gilmore or whatever.
It's just like it's just whatever. A kid will throw it on now and find that funnier and sillier because they don't relate to whatever's happening in Caddyshack.
Yeah,
I think there are some like I think similar to what you're saying with Caddyshack. I think like for my generation, I think Superbad holds up because it's a comedy they don't make anymore. It feels more grounded in reality. It's something everyone goes through. It's like this high school friendship story like that people can relate to. So I do think it's more relatable. But again, like some of the jokes aren't going to hit a new generation as hard because they've heard their dad quote it or shit like that.
So you think it's just like that it gets into the water basically, and it's diluted so much by the time somebody sees the source that they can't recognize the difference.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. What about like Airplane? I think that's a movie that it's you mentioned silliness. It's so fucking silly, and there's so many jokes in it, and there's really no, I know at the time it was sort of making fun of like airplane disaster movie types. I think they actually had to buy the rights for like Airport 77 or some shit. So I don't know. I think Airplane really lasts, and I hate to be one of these dickheads, right? But I do think that some of the really like W.C. Fields, his stuff to me, I think will really continue to live on because it's again the themes. It's a guy. Maybe that's the difference is when you have the themes, we also have a central character that you can really connect to, who has these difficulties. And his view of the world is that like he lives with these three women, his mother-in-law, his mom, or her mom. His wife, his mother-in-law, and like two daughters. He's surrounded by all this estrogen all the time, and they all hate his guts. And to me, that's I don't know. It's like King of Queens, I guess, or something. There's always going to be other stuff that comes along and does that. But like when you do it really, really well, and surely some of these things will last. But stand-up is like a newspaper. You throw it up, you throw it away. Very, very little of it holds up. Maybe like Jackie Vernon. He was a really funny guy for writing lines. Stephen Wright. What do you think of the comics that we're seeing now? What's going to hold up?
Interesting. I think there's stuff like, not even necessarily because it's clean, but a guy like Nate Bargatze, I could see holding up. Because I think and I think this way with like Regan and Gaffigan and those guys, if they're just talking about their families, or with Regan, he's talking about just like being a kid in a way that like future generations of kids can relate to, even with the internet and stuff like that. Yeah. Like those guys that are doing it in a way where they're kind of evergreen subjects. I think that'll hold up. A lot of these topical guys that are talking about the issues of today, like trans people or any of that, like that's not going to hold up because it'll just be whatever new issue is around in 20 years.
Yeah, it'll be interesting as a historical lesson, like it is when if you listen to Lenny Bruce, you have to be Googling shit constantly. And go, who's this actor? That he's. This is from Connor here, and he has a question for $5. Thanks, Mike, or thanks, Connor. Mike, what's your favorite Kinison special? I'm sure it's hard to pick one, being such a mega fan.
Again, I'm not. I did an episode of Why Are You Laughing on Kinison, but I wouldn't call myself a massive fan.
Do you have a favorite special?
No.
Did you have a favorite of those Bill Hicks albums that came out?
I was going to say this when we were talking about it a minute ago. Bill Hicks is a guy, I was never like a fan of his comedy and almost thought it was like, he kind of became, like you're saying about Lenny Bruce. Mm-hmm. I think there's a lot of people that are like, oh, really? Your favorite comedian's Bill Hicks? Like, think you're being a douchebag if you say that.
Right.
So I kind of had that mentality about Bill Hicks, like just implanted from other people. And then when I did an episode about him, I went back and watched a ton of his stuff, like not just his stand-up, but also like interviews with him and stuff. And I'm like, oh, he's brilliant. Like his stand-up is amazing, and he's a very funny guy. And I think a lot of people that said like he got just crankier at the end, I don't think they really got what he was doing necessarily. He is definitely a brilliant guy. But my favorite special of his was probably the Dennis Leary one. I think Dennis really nailed it.
He took it to a new level.
Yes.
He really brought out the key ideas in it.
He figured out what Hicks wasn't doing. Yeah.
Yeah. Fill in the blanks and turn it into something. You got to read between the lines and then make your special. I saw him in Atlanta one time, and he had a music stand set up, with big laminates that he was going through, to try to get his special together. It ended up being the one, Lock and Load, I think, was the special. So, which was the one that came after No Cure for Cancer, which, everybody thought was, and that's the Hicksiest one, I think. Lock and Load was more like, I got kids and they're putting peanut butter sandwiches in the VCR.
Yeah.
You know.
No cure for cancer. I've broken it down before. There's YouTube channels like dedicated to, or YouTube videos rather, dedicated to showing the similarities, and it's like, I guess not quite word for word, but about as close as you could get. you know.
Well, in his defense, Bill was dead by then, probably. So
No, I think Hicks was alive because Hicks commented on it.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
See, and it really, I mean, because Leary's, he that was kind of a big deal or whatever, and I can see where there would be some bitterness about that, because Dennis Leary seems like more of he's a more palatable type character, he's like a northeastern kind of fireman type or whatever the fuck. Maybe I'm just talking about his show. I don't know. Houston. Bill Hicks was writing that shit. He was a comic when he was fucking 15, for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
It's hard to imagine.
I'm probably butchering this, but there was something, and this could just be legend. I don't know that there's a recording of him saying it, but supposedly when Hicks got cancer, he said, "Finally, something Dennis Leary can't steal from me."
That's great. Yeah, that's one thing about Hicks that I didn't like is towards the end he got a little bit. He was presenting a smugness, maybe not even towards the end, but like after, Dangerous and like whatever the second one was, he got a little bit into the big glasses, the big round 90s glass, and like going, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. That brand of sarcasm strikes me as feminine and unappealing. Here's, what am I looking at? Freddie Jones Jr., Bill Hicks had Bill Maher syndrome. His objective was to be smart and philosophical. Being funny was his secondary objective. And then it says comedy frauds.
That seems like the likely trajectory for Bill Hicks is becoming Bill Maher, right?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, if he's lucky, then.
Yeah.
And I think he would have taken it. I mean, like I got to compromise now with these network guys. They make the club owners look whatever. I could see that he did. Who wouldn't want to cash in? Which okay, that takes us back to Santino again.
Oh, that's right.
Because you were saying that basically, well, I guess I can try and set up the situation. He had a special on Hulu, and they told him to take out a joke. He didn't want to take it out. He fought for it, but in the end, he did take it out. Got paid, and then he was talking about it. So I guess Bobby Lee has a special coming up or whatever, but that's not necessarily related. Yeah. And it was a joke about Disney adults, and Disney's the parent company of Hulu, I guess.
Correct.
So, and you were surprised that it was an issue. It seemed. I mean, like
I wasn't surprised it was an issue. I guess I was more saying, and I get why they took it out. I get why, from a business sense, they took it out. I guess my thing is, if you buy a special from this guy, it has a Disney adult joke in it, and you want to be in the world of comedy, I would say to Disney, just stay out of comedy, or only do clean comedy. Just get, have just Sebastian and Nate and Jim Gaffigan, only do clean comedy or whatever. Like, why enter that arena? Because then you get into oh, well, other people can do jokes about fucking pedophiles or that aren't related to Disney, and you're okay with that, or you can make fun of rape or anything else. You can touch on any other topic if you're going to be in that world, but just
don't talk about us.
Don't talk about Disney. It seems like you just shouldn't be in that world because Disney's such a big thing. It's not just the network it's broadcast on. It's part of the fabric of society. I mean, Disney World is a vacation spot every family goes to at some point. Disney movies are what a generation of kids, or multiple generations of kids, grew up on. It seems natural that would be fodder for humor.
If Disney goes away, this whole country breaks down.
You're damn right.
Disney runs this place. And but you'd think they'd have a little, maybe be a little more secure about it. I think that they probably just go, well, we don't want to offend these, I don't know, say 1,100 fags who come here by themselves, and most of them don't cause problems. It is kind of a weird thing, but I can see from their perspective where they probably just even if they just ran it through a machine, a machine, whatever, they do a search within the fucking program or whatever for the word Disney. And they go, okay, what's he saying about Disney? Oh, okay, well, that's not entirely complimentary. Why don't we just take that out? And is it that important of a joke? As a comic, I know my response would be, yeah, whatever. I don't know.
It seems like that's what he did, and that's why I was kind of like, good for you. You got the money, and then still talk shit about him. I just have a hard time with. I think we've gone so far in the direction like I try not to just be a head in the clouds like free speech fighter when I say this shit. I'm really trying to think of it logically and say like I get it's a business decision. Does Disney need to be in every business? Can you say, hey, maybe if there are things that aren't good for our business that could be said in a stand-up special, maybe we shouldn't be in the stand-up comedy business.
Makes sense. And then, but like, YouTube is just a platform, and anybody can be on YouTube. People self-censoring themselves to the degree they are, and have been.
Shameful that people that we've done that. I think that's crazy. That every Instagram clip from every comedian that bitched about censorship is now bleeped. And by the way, maybe I'm a terrible businessman. I don't notice a horrible. I guess maybe if I didn't curse on my show, I would notice money go up or something. But I don't. It doesn't,
allegedly, yeah.
I don't. It doesn't seem like my videos are demonetized because I curse.
Well, maybe it has to do more with the way it's distributed and how many people see it. If you're completely clean, then it might be like,
it would push it out to more people or something.
Yeah, something like that. They must put like, I don't know, safeguards in place so that like if there's more than 5 fucks in it, then it can't like go. I mean, I can't imagine thinking that way.
You hear that, folks? The man doesn't want me to succeed, and I'm still squeaking through the algorithm.
Yes. But if you're funny enough, then you overcome all that shit, and then, eventually you end up, on top of it all somehow. Just like Louis C.K.
I do appreciate, like, at the very least, like the Legion of Skanks guys, like, they bleep their shit to an unreal degree. Like, if you watch an episode of their show, the amount that they curse and the amount that it's bleeped out, it's incessant. It's crazy. But they have a platform where you can go and pay for it, and if it distracts you from the show or you want that stuff, then go on their platform and watch it there.
Maybe that's the strategy. Is like you're watching it going like, this would be great if only it wasn't so bleeped. They want to swear more.
Yeah, like they made it basically YouTube is watching The Sopranos on Comedy Central or something,
Yeah, the TV versions of profanity. That's what happens when you find a friend in the Alps.
Yeah.
You know what that's from? That's from, what do you call it, Big Lebowski. I don't know if you've seen the movie, but when John Goodman's destroying the guy's car with a golf club, he's saying, I think what he says is this is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass. I think they switched it to find a stranger in the Alps. There's something about that though that I do enjoy. I mean, there's many great examples,
Yeah.
like in
I know
the cleaned up Shining is a no good cook.
I know Goodfellas. I don't know what channel. I think it's specific to the channel. I think they have their own editings. Mm-hmm. But I know maybe FX or something edited Goodfellas. Every time they said motherfucker, it was you motherfather. And I was like, how does that make any sense?
It doesn't. These motherfathers. What? It's great. It does create a kind of absurdity and stuff. There's so many good. It doesn't make sense in a mafia movie because you got an authenticity thing to deal with, and it just sounds ridiculous. But like, if you write your way around stuff, it does end up being funnier a lot of times.
Yeah, it's weird because I do think there is too much of. In a weird way, the world was like everyone says, we peaked in the early 2000s, but the world might have been better when it was like you had network TV and you had HBO. If you were a guy that liked to see tits and hear the word fuck, you could watch HBO. If you wanted to watch TV with your family and you didn't want that shit, you could watch NBC. And that seemed like a lot simpler way to do it, but now you have this mishmash where these supposedly edgy shows that are pushing boundaries are also bleeping the word fuck. And it's like, well, what is this then?
It's absurd. I mean, like, they change the standards so much. Like, I don't need to see somebody vomit, every episode of something. It seems like there was a lot of that kind of stuff. Just it's a matter of taste, I guess. Here's Cool Boy, 5245. Norm Macdonald once said, Bill Hicks, Mort Saul, and Lenny Bruce are not comedians. They are shit. In a Vanity Fair interview.
I remember he said Carlin wasn't funny either. Or he said Carlin's not a stand-up or something like that. He had some quote about Carlin. Kind of like bashing his comedy. So yeah, I think that style of preachy comedy Norm didn't really care for.
Yeah, preachy comedy. That's a good way to put it. And really, you know, it's I don't know if I could quite go as far as to say they're shit. But I mean, like, look, if Norm Macdonald says it to a degree, you have to just go, okay. Yeah,
I'll side with Norm. I wouldn't say that. I think they have their own thing. But yeah, I don't think any of those guys are as funny as Norm. Not even close.
No, absolutely not. You know, Norm actually stole a joke from me. This is real. Yeah. He didn't steal it for his stand-up. He did it. He said it, a variation of it in an interview.
Okay.
With like I don't even know. It was when he had his show or whatever. He had his his sitcom. Because he did two, right?
Well, no, he had a sitcom that had two different titles. It was the Norm Show, and then it was Norm, or vice versa.
Okay, got it.
But he's had a few. He had Norm Macdonald's sports show that was on Comedy Central.
Yeah, this was one where he was acting, so I know that. So I guess it was the Norm, whatever. But he said, because my joke was, comedians feel about Carrot Top the same way vampires feel about Count Chocula, right? And that was just something to say, And now that was because Carrot Top at the time was sort of like the comic that comics sort of were like, it's really a comic. And he did a version of that in, he said, actors look on me the same way vampires look on Count Chocula. And I know for a fact that joke actually became known. It was on a CD that I did. And it became like, it was Charlie. Do you know Charlie Faricola? Do you know who that is?
I don't think so. No.
He was a stand-up comic for a long time, and I guess he still is, but he was a writer for Carrot Top. He became like Carrot Top's and he goes, "Are you the one that made up that joke?" When I met him, it was the first thing he said. And he goes, in L.A., everybody was repeating that. They thought it was so fucking funny. Now, I'm not saying it actually is good, and keep in mind, this is 26 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
But it is on the CD that I had in 2003. And
do you know that Norm heard it? Or
I think it got around, and I don't think it's parallel thinking.
Yeah.
Could it be?
I do know my Norm nerddom, I guess, would suggest.
Man, don't ruin it for me, but go ahead.
This is the only shred of evidence I have. And I think you'll probably not see it as valid.
Oh,
he
good.
mentions Count Chocula in one of his other specials, where it's just a reference to the cereal he's eating. So he may have actually been a Count Chocula fan.
Well, you're just referencing he had heard of Count Chocula, so
I think he was a Count Chocula eater is the only defense I'll give him.
I mean, I'm saying, comedians feel about Carrot Top. He says actors look on him. I mean, it's such a distinct kind of setup.
He did all the time. So maybe this is something he did with a lot of people, but he would always use Rodney lines, Rickles lines, just as throwaway lines in interviews.
Yeah, it's an interview, for Christ's sake. It doesn't matter. Bill Maher tweeted that joke, too.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Oh.
So that was like...
Sue him.
Take him to comedy court?
Yeah.
If only there was. Man, I appreciate your time, Mike, and you coming by and everything. I really enjoy talking to you, especially about stand-up. And I know that every time I watch you, I'm like, God, I wish I was in this conversation,
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah. But yeah, I very much enjoy you too, Pat. We had, when we had you on Dabbleverse Live, I was laughing my ass off. So I hope you come back on there soon.
Oh, yeah, I'd love to. Yeah, anytime.
I like your take on a lot of these things. And I don't think I realized, because I think Carl asked you to come on, and I don't think I realized how much you pay attention to all this stuff, more than I do, like you said. So
I don't know, man. Maybe too much, but thanks for saying so. Yeah, I personally connected to a lot of it. I built this fucking Dabbleverse practically. I built it on Gino's broken jaw. Are you frozen? Perfect timing. All right, thanks for watching me talking to Blind Mike. Have a good day.